TV shows where the protagonist is an anti-hero. It probably says something about the magic of television that viewers tend to seek out themselves drawn to and rooting for characters who, if you found in the real world, would be an asshole at best, and, well, way worse at the worst. Here is a list of TV shows where the protagonist is an anti-hero. The Wire. HBO's The Wire is an older show, but that does not mean that it is not worth the viewer's while. It come off as another cheesy cop show, but it's far more than that. Some viewers like all action and no substance, so this won't be the show for them. For viewers that want an honest and real checkout, the constant struggle between cops and drug dealers, this is often it. There's a deep yet realistic uncouth writing here, and characters that have a purpose within the show are dissected for viewers to get to understand them. Per IMDb, viewers have given it a 9.3 out of 10 review, so that's an honest indication it's good. Better Call Saul. The obvious pick after watching Breaking Bad is to go on over to Raised Call Saul, which stars Saul Goodman. Since viewers won't see the wacky lawyer dig his clients out of a rut, so it won't be too hard of a transition. There'll be no gots to miss favorite characters like Gus or Mike, because this is often a pre-Breaking Bad era, and things are even as crazy. This will also allow viewers to probe the background of Mike and Saul's characters and see where this attorney started it all. With the assistance of a couple of friends, as of this writing, Better Call Saul is a simple one season far away from its finale, so there is no better time than now to catch up. Peaky Blinders. Some television shows are lengthy within the sense that one season may or may not run on too long, but Peaky Blinders isn't one among those. With just 6 episodes per season, this tight show gets right to the purpose. Peaky Blinders sets its viewer up during a different era, specifically the post-World War I era, making it stand out all the more during crime genre, dominated by contemporary tales. Led by Thomas Shelby, actor Cillian Murphy, he keeps it within the family and runs a gang of arms dealers. It's shot beautifully, and therefore the acting is spot on. As a bonus, Tom Hardy may be a supporting character who simply can't be missed. Weeds. Jokingly mentioned because the comedic foil to Breaking Bad, the darkly comical Weeds comes off as a show which may make some quick questionable decisions, but its main premise is golden. This is often another example of the main character, Nancy Botwin, eager to do right by their family and can do exactly anything to realize it. And so, Nancy does the foremost logical thing possible. She turns to the illegal marijuana trade. Weeds give viewers a sobering realization that everybody features a limit to what they will handle. These characters are pushed to their limit and blur the lines of excellent and bad, even as the Breaking Bad characters do. Ozark. First off, Jason Bateman may be the main character during the dark and twisted show, so that's one reason to observe. It also involves a run-in with a Mexican drug baron, and then this seemingly picture-perfect family has got to move to the Ozarks. Similar to the setup of Walton Schuyler's scheme with the car wash, Jason Bateman's character Marty and his wife begin a concealment scheme to pay back their debts. Another loose similarity is that Marty develops a partnership with a rough-around-the-edges partner that sounds only too familiar. Dexter. Speaking of one of the simplest shows so far, Dexter is certainly one among them for several reasons. Navigating through Dexter's complicated life together with his early memories of his daily life may be a roller coaster ride, as he's constantly teeter-tottering on the road of excellence and bad. By day, he's an excellent forensic scientist, specializing in blood splatter patterns by night. He has an urge to kill folks that do extreme harm to those around them. As selfish as Dexter is often sometimes, viewers have a way to feel bad for him because he's different from those around him and needs to try to do good, but doesn't have the skills to try to do it the right way. Sons of Anarchy. Running for 7 seasons and never faltering once, Sons of Anarchy was without a doubt a screen stealer the instant it premiered. It's one among those shows which may need a small push within the beginning, but not much. The motorcycle club that's made from gritty, rough men from a good age range has their share of dark moments and bad decisions. Except for the foremost part, they're good men, Jax especially. Throughout the show, he becomes an anti-hero in a way that he must protect his territory and prove himself, but also doing the proper thing because he's an honest guy. The Blacklist. Raymond Red Reddington was one of the foremost wanted men in the world until he agreed to cooperate with the FBI to tackle mobsters, spies, and terrorists. His condition is to figure with a selected female profiler to teach her his ways. It's often easy to require throwing a tomato on the TV screen when Red opens his mouth, but he's also doing good and his character is witty and smart. There is a certain charm about him that creates him an honest anti-hero, and he's always flipping back and forth of excellence versus evil. Nurse Jackie. The uniquely offbeat Nurse Jackie entertained fans with comedic relief, also like a darker side of television. This runs loosely on an equivalent thread as Dexter, but during a hospital setting, and therefore the anti-hero is female. Jackie may be a passionate ER nurse that dedicates her lifelong practice, but she also hides an important addiction to painkillers. Viewers watched as she continued to travel downhill, and yet still do right by those around her, within the best ways in which she knew how. Addiction may be a tricky subject to hide, but this show carries the topic with a true and upfront view of what it's like. House of Cards. Netflix's House of Cards revolves around Frank and Claire Underwood, the foremost dedicated people on a show who will do anything to urge the first place. They will not take no for a solution. They're smart, and that they don't care who they stomp on to urge what they need. This is often why they're the right stars for a show centered around the ruthless race to the White House. While they sound like terrible people, Claire softens the blow. Claire wants what her husband wants, but the hardened shell she surrounds herself with often cracks for viewers to ascertain her vulnerable side sometimes. She's not as merciless as her husband, which makes her the right female anti-hero. The Mandalorian. The first season of The Mandalorian may have just debuted the latest winter, but its normal hero has already earned a spot on the list. With Pedro Pascal underneath a recognizable helmet, the show's rough around the edges but tender deep down hero provides enough spunk to keep audiences entertained through each episode. Almost enough to match his super mean co-star, but he is not all fun and games. Do not forget about those disintegrations. Damon Salvatore, The Vampire Diaries. There's been some dispute over whether Damon Salvatore, played by Ian Somerhalder, is an anti-hero or villain on The Vampire Diaries, but the Damon we meet in Season 1, a ruthless, manipulative vampire with a 2,000-year-old unrequited love and vendetta against his brother, is not the Damon we all know by the top of the series. A human who has tried to form amends and sacrifice himself to save lots of that very same brother and therefore the town of Mystic Falls from burning in a literal hell. Sure, he still has that charming bad boy thing, but throughout 8 seasons, he learns to be better and point out the great parts of himself that he keeps hidden to avoid having to measure up to other people's expectations. But it's not all directly, and within the end, he doesn't just become like his self-righteous brother, he's still himself, but with an ethical compass. This redemption, of course, is due to his love for Elena, and therefore the back and forth between those two characters, especially as Damon finishes up striving to be someone deserving of Elena, is what both endears and excites you about his character. You can't help but root for him. So that's all for this week's video, guys. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Until next time, stay tuned to our channel for more amazing videos.